It is your boy T with another Have You Seen That with T movie review, and today we are finally reviewing The Flash. So The Flash finally came out in theaters yesterday. I went and saw it last night, and it took me a day to process exactly what I was feeling about this movie. If you've listened to the podcast, if you watch any of my reviews of any DC movie, I've been pretty negative on most of them other than Wonder Woman, and maybe I'll give you Aquaman, maybe. But I was really against the portrayal of the Flash, and I'm just gonna cut out my personal feelings about Ezra Miller for this video and just kind of strictly go off of the movie itself. But in the Justice League, we finally met, Ezra Miller and his portrayal of the Flash, and it's really hard to go from one character to another because we've had Grant Gustin play the Flash on TV for, the last, I would say, 7, 8 years. And seeing Ezra Miller's portrayal, I really didn't like it. I really didn't understand. Maybe I'm not a big Flash guy. I've never really read the Flash comics, but I always thought of Barry Allen as this very stoic, really super of all the superheroes, right? Quick mind, quick reflexes, things like that. And those are all things that Ezra Miller weren't, right? He was played for comic relief to the Justice League, kind of to give them that comedy zing that MCU kind of forced on everyone else while they're making superhero movies. They try to bring the youth, they try to bring the kids in by, having that comic sidekick, and he played that guy. Um, and portraying him as a teenage Flash, I guess that would have worked 10 years ago, but now Ezra Miller like played up for this movie. He's a whole ass adult, right? Like, so he's in his 30s, 40s. I don't even know what he is right now. um but let's get to the movie, right? Plain and simple, the movie was terrible, right? It went back to the, it tried to be funny. It wasn't. The CGI was completely, like, I read an interview where the director said that he did it on purpose. Like, the initial scene, there's a scene at the very beginning of the movie where Flash is saving some babies, and these are the weirdest looking babies ever because they're all CGI. And of course, you have to CGI these babies, but they just look creepy, right? CGI babies don't come across well at all, right? At all. So Hollywood, please stop doing this because CGI babies are usually creepy, and these were the creepiest of all creepy CGI babies. And all of the CGI in the movie was just really not good, right? And to say you on a time crunch, they've been making this movie for the last 2 years, right? This movie has been reshot and reshot for the last 2 years. This movie was supposed to come out damn near at the beginning of COVID, and here we are in 2023 finally getting this Flash movie, and the CGI was absolutely terrible. It really detracted from a lot of the scenes in the movie because it was so bad. Like, it really, and I'm usually not a CGI snob, but how bad it was in this movie, it looked like a Tubi movie. Once again, there's no shot at Tubi. But man, this looked like something that you would see on Tubi. Really was bad. The only highlight of the movie whatsoever was Michael Keaton returning as Batman. I felt like everything good in this movie was put into the trailers, which is never a good thing whenever you say the trailers are the highlight of the movie. There was, a big reveal. I knew there was going to be like this big reveal of a real secret villain, but that reveal came off really flat. It made sense, but at the same time, none of the movie made any sense. I tried. I really did. I was really low on this movie going into it, and I started down the path of reading some of these reviews, and I guess I should have known better because people from the studio were calling it the greatest superhero movie of all time. They were saying all of these great things about it, and of course that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to sell your movie, and it worked because you sold your movie enough to where I went and saw it, and it was just bad. Everything about it. Iris was bad. Kiersey Clemons as Iris West was like a one note. Just kind of just didn't make any sense. None of it made any sense. There were a lot of cameos in this movie, right? So if you've been watching DC movies all these years, you're gonna it's a fanboy service towards the end. But once again, the CGI is so bad at the end of the movie that it really detracts from the moment that was supposed to happen in the movie. And you'll know exactly what I'm talking about if you see the movie. They're definitely comic fanboys. Every comic fanboy is going to go see this movie because that's what we do. We go see comic book movies. No matter, I went and saw Morbius, so that's telling you everything you need to know about, me and my comic book fandom. But this movie, it just was bad, right? Go see The Blackening this weekend. Stay at home. Watch Extraction 2. Watch the latest season of Black Mirror. But The Flash, I mean, if you must, go see it. But if you can avoid it, avoid this movie because it just wasn't good, right? It made Batman versus Superman seem like, an Oscar worthy movie. That's the only movie I really can compare it to, and how bad it was in execution and how great it could have been, because the Flashpoint story is just it's one of the greatest comic book stories ever made. And this movie did it absolutely no justice by just poor CGI, poor writing, poor acting. Ezra Miller just as Barry Allen does not work for me. The director keeps saying gave the greatest performance. I just didn't see it. No part of him feels like a hero to me. And it just didn't work. I really did try. I gave it all the chances in the world, but from the very beginning, it just fell flat. Like, I mean, from the opening title sequence, it just fell flat. It was just a bad movie, and that's okay. It wasn't. I never thought it was going to be great. I never thought it was going to save the DCU, and I don't think DC thought it was going to save the DCU because James Gunn has come to pretty much rewrite it all, and hopefully they'll get it right the second time around. But this ain't it. This is not it. And on that note, I'm out of here.